making this notice in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, laws of the state of New Jersey. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting a copy on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, forwarding a copy to the local source, Star Ledger, and the Home News Tribune, and is posted on the bulletin board on the Borough website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. This meeting was contained on a list of meetings set by resolution on January 3rd, 2024, and as amended by Resolution 2024-99, dated March 6, 2024. Accordingly, the notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied in regard to this meeting. Please stand for the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Karlovich.
Here.
Councilman Boyle.
Here.
Councilman Finestrella.
Here.
Councilwoman Giordano Paserno. Councilman Morrow.
Here.
Councilman Scarice.
Here.
Councilman Zimmerman.
Here.
Is there a motion to accept and approve the following minutes? Executive session of September 4th, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call. Oh, it's the date's the same. Oh, I'm sorry. It's executive session from September 4th, 2024A, and also session B.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Boyle.
Yes.
Oh, Joe.
Councilman Finestrella.
Yes.
Sorry.
Councilman Morrow.
Here.
Councilman Scarice.
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman.
Yes.
Okay, I have a couple things this evening. I received a really nice letter from a resident. I wanted to read it. It says, Dear Mayor Karlovich, in June of 2024, my daughter attended the Kenilworth Police Department Youth Police Academy that was operated and coordinated by members of the Kenilworth Police Department. I would like to inform you that they all did an excellent job in organizing and executing the entire week-long training. I am certain that the personnel from the Kenilworth Police Department had to conduct this training in addition to all of their assigned tasks for the time period leading up to, during, and after the training program, and they should be commended for their efforts. This is such a unique and beneficial way for the Kenilworth Police Department to interact with citizens and provide them a different perspective. It is my understanding that the following individuals put in a great deal of effort and should be acknowledged for hosting a great week of training. Chief Fred Seuss, retired. Chief Paul Campanelli. Detective Sergeant Bryant Picton. Detective Brett Byron. Detective Leo Felipe. Patrolman Ray Fascino. Patrolman Anthony Scarice. Sergeant Joseph Scorzo. And Patrolman Robert Ruger, along with all of the members of the Kenilworth Police Department. Thank you, Mayor Karlovich, for supporting this program and the efforts of the Kenilworth Police Department. Sincerely, Mr. Stephen Bylinski. Thank you very much. I thought it was really nice. Great job, and the police department, as always, does an amazing job on that Youth Police Academy. I remember when Angelina went, she loved it. And I also have a proclamation, and we have someone here, a resident, that is donating a chip reader to the police department. And what this will do is it allows, if we have a missing pet in the borough, it allows our police department to be able to run this chip reader along the pet, and they get a number, and they can call a central database and hopefully reunite their pets sooner back home where they belong. And this is being donated in memory and in honor of a resident of Kenilworth, Fran Moore, who I'm going to read a proclamation for, who really loved animals and did a lot specifically for feral cat colonies living in Kenilworth, personally paying to spay and neuter over 100 cats in Kenilworth, making sure they had inoculations and they were being fed. So anyway, she loved animals, dogs as well, and she was really a great person. I'd like to read this. Fran Moore was born on April 1st, 1952 in Canada, and she passed away on April 9, 2024, leaving behind a legacy of compassion and dedication that touched the lives of many. Fran spent her formative years in Springfield and dedicated 25 years to the community of Roselle Park before establishing her beloved home in Kenilworth 4 years ago. Fran was renowned for her love of baking, which was exemplified by the dream kitchen she built in her Kenilworth home. She generously shared her baked goods with friends and businesses, demonstrating their kindness and generosity. Fran's profound love for animals was evident in her tireless efforts to support both dogs and cats. Her passion extended to crochet, where she lovingly made hats for everyone she knew. Fran held a bachelor's degree and made significant contributions through her career at Celgene, while also dedicating her personal time to support animal welfare. Fran made an indelible mark on our community through her work and with Trap, Neuter, and Return, the TNR program, volunteering with numerous rescue groups and supporting countless fundraising efforts to aid animals. Fran took on the vital responsibility of caring for several cat colonies in our borough, ensuring their continued care and support beyond her time with us. In recognition of her enduring legacy, a donation of a chip reader has been made to the Kenilworth Police Department in Fran's name. This donation will aid in reuniting lost pets with their families more swiftly, continuing Fran's mission to support animals in need. Fran Moore's selfless dedication and love for animals serves as an inspiration to all who knew her. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Kenilworth, County of Union, State of New Jersey, do hereby honor and celebrate the life and achievements of Fran Moore. We express our deepest gratitude for her extraordinary contributions and unwavering commitment to our community and its very residents. In witness hereof, I, Mayor Linda Karlovich, here unto sign my name officially and cause the seal of the Borough of Kenilworth to be affixed this 18th day of September 2024. So we're going to come up and demonstration, and we're going to present the chip reader.
Want to do it for the podium?
Yeah, that's
What's
fine.
up, puppy?
We're going to do a demonstration. Hi, how are you? I know.
Okay, well. I'm not familiar with this piece of equipment, so if you can kindly guide me through here what we got.
And he put it together.
Oh, thank you.
So he said you should get a heavier case because if it drops, it might break.
We're gonna put it in the Well, she's gonna demonstrate it. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, it's not short.
All right.
Okay, so you can demonstrate how it's done.
The neck and the microchip will come up, and the number will come up. It's all the company, and your dog or cat will be registered, and then it's all.
So all we have, that number that comes with this company, and if it's in their database, they'll be able to.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you so
And
much.
it does a bunch of, this is like one of the best, the Hero, because it covers a lot of the
There's
different,
different brands.
yes, companies.
Oh, so it's
So,
almost like universal.
yes.
Thank you so much. We do, we cover a lot of lost pets, a lot of books. This was just, as you said, make things do a lot of things. And you're adorable. You wanna come work? Here's your proclamation.
Thank you.
Thank you,
If you
sir.
get a picture of the,
Yes. And the puppy.
love it, and be in there.
Is everything full already or no? Maybe I'll book then if I have to cancel. What's full? What's open?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's very generous. It's very.
Thank you very much. Oh, yes. You probably have to be charged.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
I'll text you tonight when I get
Okay, finance report, Councilman Finestrella.
Thank you, Mayor. There's really nothing to report, so no report.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you, Councilman. Department of Public Works, Councilman Boyle.
Thank you. So, truck number 28 is on the road, the new dump truck. DPW recently received a revenue check for $1,700 for recycled cardboard. They received a revenue check for $377 for recycled electronics. And bulk pickup is set for the week of September 30th for the north side, and the south side is October 7th. And Greg, you want me to bring it up? Bob wanted me to say something about what are the little lime green things you're putting down in crosswalks?
That's the police uniform.
Shoot.
The police stations.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Sergeant
talk about that.
I just was gonna bring it up, I was just wondering what they were.
We have placed several different cones and delineators in the roadway to try to help slow the traffic down as people try to cross the boulevard and other areas of Kenilworth. Recently, we've had several complaints, especially over by the Rails for Trails, over by
The East Coast Greenway crosses 14th
Yes.
Street.
So, along with the county, I spoke with other county traffic officers, and along with our county traffic sergeant, Sergeant Grady, we come up with several plans. The mayor actually had a very good idea. There was something in Providence that we're implementing here. It's trying to give people an opportunity to see the crosswalk with those
Right.
tall, stanchions. So as a person is walking towards the crosswalk, you're more than likely going to see the colored cone stanchion, and then a person standing nearby. So hopefully people will slow down a little bit better. And we're just working on the traffic flow, and that seems to be working right now. So
They seem to narrow, they make the road feel more narrow because you have to drive through these two, so,
So we're working on it. The
Great.
boulevard is a wide road.
Yes.
And we're doing, again, that's one of the things that we're implementing. We're doing several traffic studies also to help with that, so.
thank you.
That's
Thank
all
you,
I have.
Chief.
No problem.
Thank you, Councilman. Department of Public Safety, Councilman Zimmerman.
Thank you, Mayor. Not a lot to report. I know Chief Campanelli told me we're still having some catalytic converter thefts in town. Not a lot you can do to prevent it. They come in at late at night or early in the morning to steal catalytic converters off of cars. But if anybody hears with the nicer weather, your windows are open, some kind of cutting or clanging when they're removing these catalytic converters, please call the police department. If you're going to work early or coming home late and you see something like that that looks out of place, maybe it's, I know in other towns they've had vans and trucks and cars. It's unfortunately, it's like a 2-minute ordeal for them to take a catalytic converter off a car, but they're hard to find, and they're taking the platinum chip out of the catalytic converter because it's worth more than the converter itself. I know Hondas, Acuras are the two biggest types of cars or makes and models that they're stealing them from. So I know park it in your driveway if you can, back it in if you can, and if you do see or anything out of place, please call the police department so that they can check it. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman. Planning and Zoning, Councilman Morrow.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Hello, everyone. I will start with the planning board, where last week on September 11th, there was a meeting. Of note, at that meeting, a 7-unit apartment building was approved in town over on Michigan and the Boulevard, as well as the drive-through Dunkin' Donuts there, the Dunkin' Donuts there to be converted into a drive-through Dunkin' Donuts with limited seating, actually no seating and limited service. So that happened last week. We actually have about 6 more applications going back and forth with professional review A few of those applications are at the end of the review, so they'll be going for planning board consideration next. More to come on that as the planning board agendas are assembled. With respect to zoning and enforcement, to date in September, halfway through the month, we're only looking at a few complaints, all for zoning. One of the complaints relates to the storage of a vehicle, another for a fence placement, and another for a patio not meeting setback requirements, all of which are being addressed by the department. In addition, we've received a few zoning applications for an HVAC redo at home, new businesses looking at Kenilworth, and a home remodeling application, so those are good things. The department, because of some of the nature of the zoning violations that happened in the last month, they just want to remind everybody that if you're putting up a fence, a new deck, a patio, a walkway, a shed, kindly contact the office. We'll talk to you about zoning application needs and requirements, and we can avoid any violation scenarios going forward. Before I move off the report, Mayor, I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about the ordinance number 2024-20, which is the one related to fire prevention. I'm going to ask a motion, I guess. I just want to explain why I'm going to do this to the rest of the governing body here. I don't think this is ready. When I read this ordinance, I agree with half of it. I don't agree with the other half of it. The half I agree with is that I think we do need to be proactive and do something about dense smoke, about garbage being burned, about pre-treated and other types of lumber and construction material being burned. What I don't agree with is some of the other requirements that go into this ordinance, such as needing a metal mesh over your fire pit or your chimnera. That's where you put the firewood. In my mind, that becomes a bodily injury hazard, so remove the mesh to add firewood. There's other provisions in here about the sticks that we burn cannot be under 2.5 inches in diameter. I just don't think it's practical
Okay,
to
so do you want
force
to make a
these.
motion to
I'm going to make a motion. I
table
have one
this?
more point that I
Okay.
need to make about
Okay.
this. The ordinance, currently the way it's worded, sets out penalties for violation of the ordinance. Now, violation of the ordinance includes not having a mesh over it or burning a 2-inch twig. The violation could be a monetary up to $2,000 violation. It could be community service or up to 90 days in a county jail. I think that's extreme. I don't think that this creates the right balance. If we're going to try to stop dense smoke and other types of things that we have a problem with in town, I'm for that, but I think this goes too far. So in good conscience, I can't vote for it, and I'm going to actually motion to have it pulled so we can work on this one and strike that balance.
Good.
Okay.
Is there a motion to
Did someone?
table this ordinance for,
I would like to make that motion, to table the ordinance and work on it with the fire inspector,
is there,
Councilman Scarice.
I'll second.
you'll second it? Okay. So ordinance 2024 has been tabled, motion made by Councilman Morrow, seconded by Councilman Boyle.
So then, I guess we can have a meeting, Mark?
Yeah, we'll put together a meeting with the two of you as well as Mr. Giordano, I believe.
Yeah, you said.
And we'll go through what your concerns are and see what his position is and try to draft some language that satisfies you.
I agree, and you know, chimeneas don't have mesh tile. I have one, so they don't have a mesh that goes on top of it or in the front of it. So I do agree that that ordinance needs a little bit of tweaking, so, good.
So should we do a roll call?
Do we need a roll
Yeah.
call?
Okay, Councilman Boyle,
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella,
Yes.
Councilman Morrow,
Yes.
Councilman Scarice,
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any more to add to your report, Councilman?
No, I don't, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Council. Okay, Recreation and Fire, Councilman Scarice.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no reports were provided. I have some other comments, but I saved them at the end. It says workshop items. so
Okay.
I'll
I mean,
see.
if you want it, you can address them now if you'd like.
Okay, okay.
Yep, sure.
A few things. I saw the emails about the Gray Bar EV charging stations. Was that just
Mhm.
solicitation?
Pretty much.
Okay. 'Cause
Yes.
I wouldn't want to see that. Basically, it's like rich person parking only.
Yeah,
And I don't think that would be good for
yeah,
a designated spot.
And
I've
it's
been
not
getting
free.
those emails for years,
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
it's not free either, so.
you know. If somebody, a private gas station wants to do it, like they did I think it's at the Wawa on North Avenue, they can do that. We don't need to address it, I don't think,
Okay, I
as a
just
borough.
want to make sure that, I wouldn't be in favor of that. The other thing was, we talked about Onyx property, and they're going to do pharmaceutical research. Were we against researching cannabis? I mean, I know
No.
I would be against.
We said research for cannabis was
It's okay.
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 Yes.
Is that-
Manufacture, distribution, and sale.
Right.
Correct.
I don't know, how do you manufacture cannabis and you're growing it? Do we have a problem growing it for research? I wouldn't want to have someone turn down the site, oh, well, we wanted to do that too.
Well,
No.
manufacturing is and research are very different. They don't have to manufacture it to research it.
Yeah. I don't know if they might want to, that room, that they want to do it.
Well, right now
They
it's
do.
banned.
Right now it's banned, and if there was something that they wanted to do, they could ask for a change to the plan, and then we could address it at that time.
Right.
Okay. I didn't want them to lose potential
Yeah, there's also,
tenants.
when,
There's plenty of time to change it. if they-
Mark, you might know the answer to this.
But more importantly, I spoke to their attorney didn't have an issue.
Yeah, they don't.
Okay,
right.
I just,
There's a, when we opted out of the manufacturing, distribution, and sale of marijuana, there was a certain amount of time, distribution, there's a certain amount of time that, and I don't remember what that time frame is, 5 years, that the borough couldn't even have the conversation for, well, it was done in, what year was that? 2000, it's probably 2 years into a 5 year.
Maybe 21.
Right, so it couldn't be addressed anyway until 2020, till that 5 years is up. So that was a law
You didn't
in the state.
ban it.
If
You
you,
had
we
to
did ban,
accept it,
right,
If you
exactly,
didn't act on
right,
it within
right.
that period of time, you
So-
had to
so
be able to allow
If
it.
it
applied
would
for
come up
recreational
again.
only,
Yeah.
and if you didn't ban it, then you would not be permitted to ban it for the next 5 years.
Right,
You always could backtrack it if you
okay,
wanted
all right,
to.
okay.
And again, their attorney didn't express a concern with it. If it is a concern, they can bring it to us, and then we can try to navigate it.
okay. One last thing, some people were asking, it's actually, they had deceased relatives, and I guess with the election coming up, they want to know how you would remove them from the voter rolls,
They can call the county,
just through the county, not through us.
right, correct, we don't
Do you have to
handle that.
provide any documentation, do you know? Or I guess you call the clerk?
I would call the county clerk,
They
Okay,
handle it.
yeah.
thank you, Mayor, that was all I had to mention, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Education, Health, and Human Services, Councilwoman Giordano Paserno is absent. I do have a report from her. The Health Department, the health fair is scheduled for September 28th. It'll be held at St. Teresa School from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. For the library, they are Heritage Month celebration, which is happening tomorrow. Thursday, September 19th, from 7 to 8 p.m., along with many other events at the library. You can call 908-276-2451 for the full list of the events they have there. And also, there'll be a fall-winter lunch and learn at the Senior Center. That is Tuesday, September 24th, from 11:30 to 12:45. There's also a lot of other activities at the Senior Center as well. You can call Shirley at 908-276-1716 for more details on happenings at the Senior Center. That's all I have for that. Borough Engineer.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have some updates on some of the capital projects. The 2023 roads, which were awarded to Carosia Contracting, they included Maplewood, Oakwood, and Monroe between Michigan and 22nd. Maplewood and Oakwood are done. A few items have got to be cleaned up. Monroe, they're just getting started on. If you remember, Monroe is going to be like in phases, right? We can't do the whole thing in 1 year, so try to do each year, do a section until we get the whole thing done. The 2024 roads were awarded to S Brothers. They're going to pick up on Monroe from 22nd to 17th, and their contract includes a portion of the two. As you come off Bloomingdale, there's a piece that where half the road was done by the water company. The other half is kind of beat up, so we're going to kind of finish that off and get that cleaned up. The contract was awarded to S&L Paving for the fire department parking lot and the deep portion of the DPW yard. Another contract was awarded to AA Burns for the next round of handicap ramps, and those are being done under CDBG money, so that's not any money put out by the borough. The drainage improvements at Wilshire and Brasser, that kind of got derailed, we had to make some field changes. We got that back on track, we're trying to get them remobilized next week. We have that kind of tentatively scheduled for next week to get the contractor back out there, get that restarted. The sidewalk replacement out here in front of the municipal building is being advertised September 26th, and that'll be advertised for 2 weeks. Then we'll take bids, and hopefully we get the good bid that we can award. And then lastly, the walking paths that go from Tulip to Commonwealth, and then Commonwealth to Park to the Boulevard, all been completed.
They look nice.
Yeah,
Look
they're
really
finished,
nice.
yeah, they did come out really nice. And, the concrete will hold up last way longer than the paved paths. And also that little swale that runs from Commonwealth to Tulip is also cleaned up and stabilized, so that work has been completed. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
I have something for you, Tony.
Tony,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to let everybody
Yep.
know something we discussed that I talked with most of you about, not all of you, so I'll tell you all now. Tony and I did a walkthrough behind the senior center, the parking lot back there, and there were some complaints last year through Darlene about seniors not being able to park there. We were going through the parking lot. We're losing about 8 or 9 spots to dumpsters and then painting over of lines and appearances of reserved spots that may be on borough property. So Tony's gonna work with his firm to almost redraw the lot, give a sketch. That's very sensitive to the business needs for the dumpsters, sensitive to the handicap parking needs we have for the senior center, as well as opening up some of those 8 spots that have been blocked out. So I wanted to let everybody know that's happening. We have been getting some complaints there. I'm not sure if Shirley's been getting the same ones Darlene has, but.
Which spaces are blocked
We
out?
have some dumpsters that are blocking actual spots.
Well, I know there's the
We-
one dumpster for Ava's, and then I think that's
There's another
Ava's
one for
dumpster, and
There's
then,
another one for
yeah, but they have
Massimo's.
that's their driveway, that's their right of way, so,
No, go back there, you can see, we actually have a sectioned out piece for the driveway.
oh, we do?
We do, and then the dumpster's taking an actual
Oh,
parking spot.
okay.
So and look, we're sensitive to
At
it,
the
that they
pre-
need access
right.
points, but I think that an engineer can design something
Right.
that'll work.
Right,
So Tony's gonna take a look at that and see what we can do.
Yeah, we'll see if
Okay.
we can utilize the space more efficiently, maybe
Yeah.
condense. Like
it is hard to park back there, there's no
Yeah,
question
yeah.
about that.
No, it's been like that as long as I can remember.
Right, well,
Yeah.
me too.
There's areas that are striped out,
Right.
and some of the business owners have striped to get to the back of their buildings, but it is borough property, so they really don't
Right.
have actually the right to do that, to strike that out, but I think it's just been there for years. We're gonna see if we can condense things, and maybe instead of losing 8, maybe we lose 6, or something like that.
Okay.
Try to pick up whatever we can, so we'll see how it works out.
Okay, great.
Just have 2 things for you, Tony. In front of PNC, that sidewalk there, is that borough responsibility or is that the landowner?
The landowners are responsible for the sidewalks. I think the only reason why the borough's been replacing the pavers, because that was a borough project. So those were put in years ago by the borough, and the council decided, I think it was 5 years ago, that because that was a project that was done by the borough would fix those because they're becoming a hazard. But typically, the sidewalks are responsibility of the property owner to maintain and repair.
Can you take a look in front of PNC? I know there's a lot of missing pavers there. And somebody came to my attention with it that they tripped. So I just don't want the borough to be liable if somebody takes a spill there. And if it is PNC's responsibility, if we can send some type of notification to them to remediate it so nobody does get hurt.
I don't remember, those are pavers.
Those are pavers, yeah. They're pink pavers, but there's pavers intermittently
Yeah,
missing
I got you.
Right.
that are non-existent. So there's divots. If you're not watching where you're walking, especially if you're a little older or you're not paying attention, you're definitely going to take a spill.
Yeah, what we can do is when we hold the pavers up in front of here, we can save some, and if something needs pavers to fix, they can.
It's a good idea.
I think eventually it's to replace old pavers, project by
Right.
project, but that could be a couple of years down the road. But we can certainly keep some pavers, and then if somebody needs them to fix, they'll be available. So,
And just one other thing, I know your counterpart was here at the last meeting. Lantier, the gas main, jackhammered that whole area in front of the food market there
Yep.
to replace gas lines, so it's a disaster if they just
The whole,
fixed it.
the whole boardwalk, I'm sorry.
That whole
Boulevard.
area has been jackhammered,
Yep.
and it's blacktop again instead of concrete after we just remediated all that, so
Yeah, that has to be fixed. We're
Yeah.
working on that.
if you can keep that on the radar, just
Yeah.
to stay on top of them to make sure that
Yeah,
they fix that.
yeah, we're battling with them on a few issues in town, so we'll add that to the list.
Thank you.
Okay.
Tony, I have one last thing. I brought up a couple, probably over a month ago, Red Maple Lane, there's a water course behind there, eroding. There's actually trees, residents are saying are tilted over. You ever get a chance to go investigate that, or?
We didn't get a complaint on that, but I'll put that on the list. Yeah, I wasn't aware.
Yeah, I mentioned it to Christian a couple times.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't at that meeting. I'll take a look at it. Do we know, is that on what property? Is that on the,
Red Maple,
There's
if you went
also
down the
roads.
street, it would be on your left-hand side. They said Department of Transportation fixed South Michigan and Trenton area, they dredged it, and I guess maybe they put it in cement, but that's like, they haven't done anything with that part. But he was saying it eroded under the trees, now the trees are leaning, so that,
that's not in that open space area, that's not.
yeah, it's in between the back of the house, it's not in front, it's
Yeah,
be
okay.
behind the house.
Okay, just so you know, the little, that portion of the ditch along Trenton that comes off of Michigan, we through some research, we found out that there's an easement that the DOT has to maintain that, but it's only that one portion, that one block. That easement doesn't extend, and it's interesting, it goes all the way back to when the Parkway was built. It's supposed to be a temporary easement, I believe, but it was never lifted. So DOT took responsibility, they came out and we fixed it, so. But beyond that, there's no easement that we know of.
I don't know if there's anything you can do, at least,
We'll take a look at it, we can see, most of these ditches and streams are actually on private property, I mean, they don't really belong to the borough. But I'll take a look, see.
yeah, and then we could at least inform the resident, what they can or can't do,
Okay.
or,
No problem.
also the sidewalks by the parkway, that's off our plate, that's the parkway's property. I know we were,
Under the Parkway, you mean the?
yeah, it's, is that Vernon Ave?
Yeah, I
It's
brought-
Vernon Avenue. I actually
This is
did
how
take a
broken
look
up the
at that.
sidewalk was.
Yeah, I,
At the
actually,
last meeting, I'm just sure, I know there was an issue, like, is it ours or theirs?
I'm claiming it's theirs, and I've actually requested that they.
Here, it's in really, and I
Yeah,
actually went
yeah.
and checked it out. It's in really
Absolutely.
bad shape.
I sent those pictures to them a while back, and if we requested that they replace it, because we're basically, I'm claiming it's theirs. I mean, they haven't responded one way or another, so they haven't told us it's not theirs, or they're not claiming responsibility, but they haven't said they're gonna do it, so we're gonna keep on top of that.
I made a plan last week or 2 weeks ago, Mark, we were gonna get a letter from you, maybe, I think it was, to the DOT to inform them
Yes.
of this liability.
We were compiling the information, and the letter didn't go out yet because it was taking a while to compile the information. I think I got it all in yesterday, so we'll get that letter out within the next day.
All right, great, yeah, I think that's probably our best work with this.
Yeah, and we'll follow up, and we're gonna, we'll press on. But just, again, that's a process when we're dealing with the Turnpike Authority, which actually owns the parkway now. So, it took 2 years just to get DOT out there to fix that ditch. So, it takes time, but we'll stay on it. We're not going to forget about it.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Borough CFO.
Thank you, Mayor. Really not much going on right now, thank God, but tax bills are printed and they're being worked on, so they should go out, not by the end of this week, by definitely next week. So it'll be your fourth quarter final bill for their 2024 and the first half of 25.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Borough Attorney.
Mayor, I don't have anything particularly to report. As I had indicated to the inquiry from the councilman, we were compiling information so that we could get something specific out to the Parkway. We did finally compile what it was that we were able to. So now I have the basis for a comprehensive letter, which I anticipate going out within the next 24 hours.
Great.
Other than that, nothing.
Okay, thank you very much. Borough Administrator?
Nothing, I'll just remind people that tonight is election night for the special congressional election. And I just want to thank everyone. We hosted the early voting, and we did, so thank you, Kristen and the Rec Center. Greg, for your help in opening and closing, and yeah, so that was successful. And today's election, I guess there was some confusion, so I just want to point out the election location, the voting location has not changed. Even with, so it's in the same gym at Brewerly. The entrance, you know, with the construction, we did get some calls and some confusion about where to enter. It's the same today. It's the same as it was at the
back
June
gym.
and July, yeah, the primary. And it will be the same in November, so I just want people to know. You just enter on the side near the baseball field. The doors are open, there's a big flag outside. So it hasn't changed. I just want people to, I just want to reiterate that so everyone's aware. Just go, it's the same room, you just enter from a different side.
Okay.
Is there, who's responsible for signage? Is that county run or?
County.
Well, the county
They
provides
didn't
some
have any
signs.
signs even last time, and people were even calling me. I was like,
I did, you know, I did
There was
get
a sign
call
out,
later.
there was a sign at the left, yeah.
I did get a call this afternoon. I did print out a few extra small, you know, arrows and brought them over. But I will say they had a nice bit, when it was a little confusing when the buses were there and the kids were getting out, because I happened to get over there at that time. Once they left, it is pretty clear. They have a nice big flag right outside the open doors. I think it's clear.
They have a
I'll tell you,
sandwich board
If
sign.
anyone is not sure, then they should definitely call, but it is, just keep looking. It is the same room that it's always been in, and you just enter on the side, and there's 3 sets of doors on that side. It's right across from the baseball field. Okay?
Angela, can I ask you a question? Actually, I think, Greg, you told me about it last year. The lights outside Borough Hall, can we fix those?
They're on the
I think
list.
you said you were ordering something a while back.
We were trying to find, Angela and I have been working together on that, trying to find a light that fits perfectly with, like, going with the same kind of style we have now and the same size, without getting something too big or too small. So it's a process.
Just like special order, this light we have. Can we replace both of them then? the
Well,
small
we were,
ones?
yeah,
Please.
and then we
It's
did
on the
find
list.
one, but then we didn't want to get one that wasn't necessarily going to hold up, and so, and then.
try to figure it out, I
Thanks,
won't
right.
stay.
Coming.
Yeah, it was an eyesore at the 9/11 ceremony.
Yeah,
just
it is.
there in the background.
It's been
And they don't
like
work
that for a
too,
while.
so
They
it's
don't
like a
work.
double
time.
whammy.
We're
And,
ready to
on
get
the,
it done
accolades
before-
to-
Maybe we can apply
Before
for a grant.
Veterans Day, so we can have the green lights
Green
up.
lights, yeah.
So we're on target for that, I think, right, Angela?
Yes, yes.
All right, thanks. Thank you.
And the accolades to Greg. Thank you for changing the lock on my door.
You're welcome.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept and approve borough reports?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Fenestrello. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have 3 ordinances for final adoption. Ordinance 2024-13, introduced on August 21st, 2024. Ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 170, Streets and Sidewalks, Article 4, Openings, Section 170-20, Repair Deposits, to include more specific restoration standards and requirements.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2024-13?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Fenestrello. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Does anyone have anything to say on this ordinance and this ordinance only? Please come forward and state your name and address. Okay. Seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 2024-13?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Fenestrello. Roll call?
Councilman Boyle?
Yes.
Councilman Fenestrello?
Yes.
Councilman Morrow?
Yes.
Councilman Scarice?
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-13 has been adopted. Ordinance 2024-14, introduced on August 21st, 2024, an ordinance of the Borough of Kenilworth amending Chapter 120 Land Use, Part 4 Stormwater Control, Article 34 Stormwater Control Standards of the Code of the Borough of Kenilworth, County of Union, State of New Jersey.
Is there a motion to open the floor for public hearing on ordinance 2024-14?
Motion. Second.
Motion made by Councilman Finestrella, seconded by Councilman Zimmerman. All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone have anything to say on this ordinance and this ordinance only? Please come forward, state your name and address. Okay, seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 2024-14?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Finestrella, seconded by Councilman Scarice. Roll call?
Councilman Boyle.
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella.
Yes.
Councilman Morrow.
Yes.
Councilman Scarice.
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-14 has been adopted.
Okay, on tonight's agenda is the final adoption of the redevelopment plan for 2000 Galloping Hill Road, the former Merck property. At this time, the Borough's Redevelopment Council and Redevelopment Planner will be presenting the redevelopment plan to the public. The public will be given an opportunity to be heard at the public hearing for the ordinance, which will be shortly after the presentation. I'd like to welcome Fran Nelson and Fran Rayner to present the presentation.
Mayor, members of the council, good evening. Fran Reiner from DMR, professional planner and partner with the firm. I'm here on behalf of you this evening, the governing body, to give you a brief presentation regarding the 2000 Galloping Hill Road redevelopment plan, which is block 181, lot 1. I believe that Angela had provided you with hard copies, and she had made copies.
Is there any way we could put this up here? So, is that possible?
Yeah, it might take a couple of minutes, but we can do that.
Just so this way it's on
Yep.
video and the public can see it, and I can move out of the way. Oh, no, we'll figure it out. Excellent.
Figure
Excellent.
out that this piece. That's what I.
We got the chief coming.
Is it right here? Is it this? Does it go in there? That's what I believe, right? Yeah, right here. Oh. You can take it out, or you can choose this one. He's got eyes all over.
We just need to turn that on.
We good? We got,
Yeah, I just need to turn it on.
Let me see if I can turn these lights off
Yeah,
back here.
yeah.
Let it go.
How do I,
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
How do you get on the projector? Gotta get the projector.
It should be on.
There's a light on it.
Here we go.
I'm on duplicate, so it should be working. You try to turn that on?
Yeah, I'll just make sure it's on.
Works.
It's making
there
noise.
it goes.
There it goes.
It's on.
Once
Let's
again.
see, let's see if we can get it. Oh,
Yep,
there we
yes,
go.
it's coming.
Perfect. Yeah.
Once again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. So good evening. Again, Fran Reiner with DMR. This evening, I'm here to present to you a PowerPoint presentation of the 2000 Galloping Hill Road redevelopment plan, which is block 181, lot 1. You have the full report. I am going to provide Angela with a copy of this presentation tomorrow morning so that it can be placed on the borough's website. So as was indicated, this is the three-step process, and we are in the second step of this process. The first step in the process was an investigation study to designate the property. The planning board provided recommendation to the mayor and council to designate the property as an area in need of redevelopment without condemnation. That was done earlier this year. The second step, which is what we are here this evening for, is in regard to the redevelopment plan. The redevelopment plan, the mayor and council refer the redevelopment plan to the planning board. So on September 4th, this mayor and council had a first reading and sent it over and referred it over to the planning board. I then presented this plan to the planning board on September 11th. The planning board's responsibility as part of the redevelopment process is to determine whether or not the plan is consistent with the borough's master plan, and then they provide a recommendation back to the mayor and council. So we presented the plan to them on September 11th. They provided a letter indicating that they agreed that the redevelopment plan was consistent with the borough's master plan. And then the third step in this is the mayor and council can adopt the redevelopment plan at a second reading, which is tonight, which is a public hearing and allows the public to provide input and comments. It's important to note that after this redevelopment plan is approved, it represents new zoning for the property, and that zoning would supersede the underlying zoning of the property. It's also important to note that nothing is imminent in terms of happening on the property. The developer would then have to submit, as a part of step 3, a site plan application that would be submitted to the planning board. And actually, the redevelopment plan requires that any site plan application go back to the mayor and council first to determine that it is consistent with the redevelopment plan before it gets referred over to the planning board for site plan review, which is typical of what happens at a planning board, which is a site plan review to make sure that it meets the underlying zoning. The redevelopment plan does allow for C variances. Does not allow for D variances. C variances are commonly referred to as bulk requirements, so they can come in as a part of a site plan application and request bulk deviations, but they cannot request what is commonly referred to as height and use variations. If they were to come in with a use or a height, it would actually, the redevelopment plan would actually have to be amended by the mayor and council in order for that process to move forward. So I just walked through all of this on this slide. So I'll go to the next slide. In terms of the permitted uses that are within the redevelopment plan, the list of permitted uses include research and development, laboratories, including life sciences, light industrial, offices, both general, medical, and business offices, veterinarian facilities, data centers, warehouses, self-storage, retail and service uses, public and private school universities, student housing, public and private utility facilities, hotels, age-restricted housing, and assisted living. No other residential other than the age-restricted and assisted living. In terms of the bulk area requirements, this property is approximately 107 acres in size. In order for a site plan application to come before the planning board, the minimum tract size would have to be 10 acres. That's important because it means that there's a significant proposed project. So the 10-acre minimum would be required as a part of a site plan application. This property can be developed in multiple phases, and the minimum size of a phase would have to be 10 acres. And the minimum lot area would have to be 10,000 square foot. So if a site plan application came in with a 10-acre minimum site and they broke it into multiple lots, each lot at minimum would have to be 10,000 square feet. That's what that means. Maximum building height is 100 feet, although I will tell you that there are specific requirements to that 100 feet I'll walk through in the next slide as well. But the maximum building height is 100 feet, which, by the way, is approximately what the highest building is currently. The maximum building coverage is 55%. The maximum impervious coverage is 85%. It's important to note that the stormwater management NJDEP requirements would have to be met. So although the maximum impervious coverage is 85%, all the stormwater management requirements that the state has, which have gotten more and more constrained, will have to be met as a part of this redevelopment plan. Maximum floor area ratio for the project is 1.25. The redevelopment plan says that any application has to meet that requirement. So in other words, the first project that potentially comes in would still have to meet the 1.25 floor area ratio. Minimum landscape open space is 15%. The minimum front yard setback along Galloping Hill Road would be 40 feet. Minimum side yards would be 10, and minimum rear yard would be 15. In regards to building heights, I had indicated that the maximum building height is 100 feet. However, there are specific requirements to certain uses. The maximum height for a warehouse use would be 60 feet. The maximum height for a data processing center would be 40 feet if it was a one-story, and it could be up to 100 feet if it was more than one story. Further, we have placed in the redevelopment plan a 40-foot minimum setback from Galloping Hill Road. At 40 foot, the maximum height of building can be is 60 feet in height. At a 50-foot setback along Galloping Hill Road, the maximum height of building can be is 60 to 80 feet. And at 60-foot setback from Galloping Hill Road, the maximum of the building height can be is 100. The area at the front of the property, which used to be a large industrial building of somewhere in the ballpark of 1 million square foot, the redevelopment plan requires a maximum building square foot area of 580,000 square foot, which is significantly less than what was there prior. In addition, it requires an enhanced landscape buffer along Galloping Hill Road, including a landscape for trees and shrubs in the event that there's any parking areas along that frontage. And it does not allow for loading docks or service areas to be fronting Galloping Hill Road, so buildings have to face and cannot have the rears of those properties. There is also a requirement for the age restricted and for the assisted living that those residential uses have to be within 2,000 feet of Galloping Hill Road. For everybody's understanding, that line is just about where the largest building in the rear is. That forward would allow for residential in those areas. We have placed parking requirements for each one of the permitted uses, which is listed here. I will say that we have a list of a number of these uses have the exact same parking requirements that your current zoning has. Some of them are a little bit less than, and I think when you have a site of 107 acres, it is very commonplace to have some of those uses have less parking requirements. This particular site is not located in an area where if there wasn't enough parking, they would be overflowing onto residential streets. So it's really at the advantage of the developer to make sure they have enough parking. And with a 107-acre site, we often see that some of the parking ratios for each individual use are slightly relaxed. We believe that we're in the right, we have the right requirements for each one of those uses. Finally, we've placed in substantial landscape design standards for surface parking screening. We require evergreen shrubs to screen any surface parking with a minimum 3-foot shrub. We have perimeter trees along those parking areas required at 30 foot on center. We also have interior landscape planting requirements for surface parking over 40 spaces and with 1 tree for every 12 spaces. And that would be within the parking area itself, as well as 1 tree for every 20 spaces in a row. So you couldn't have more than 20 spaces before you had an island with a tree located. We have requirements for screening in terms of for dumpsters, recycling containers, solid waste, all with the notion of trying to make sure that the site is visibly appropriate from any public streets. We have service entrances, utility structures have to be screened, loading docks and loading spaces have to be screened, as well as utility, HVAC equipment, and any outdoor storage. So we have a tree requirement of one tree for every 50 feet along Galloping Hill Road. And again, as I mentioned, the project can be completed in phases over time. The goal of the redevelopment plan is to allow for the repurposing of an old, predominantly vacant facility into a mixed-use facility that has flexibility to deal with market conditions over time. So that's why the uses are permitted that we have listed. At the same time, we put in a lot of assurances to make sure that the site is developed in an appropriate manner for the borough. And then the last thing I'll say is as I mentioned, we presented the plan to the planning board. They found it consistent with the borough's master plan for the following reasons. The redevelopment plan encourages and facilitates the transformation of an obsolete corporate office campus into a mixed-use development that helps the redevelopment area play a vital role in the commercial growth and activity of Kenilworth. And then it also allows for mixed-use redevelopment as permitted in the redevelopment plan, which provides zoning that could transform the dated obsolete office, corporate office complex into a vibrant mixed-use commercial, industrial, and retail development. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much.
I think may have questions. I don't know. Do you want me to turn this off or you want to leave it?
Audience questions?
I think we can turn that, take it
Okay.
off.
Perfect. I can shut it down that way.
So the questions right now would be from the governing body, and then if a member of the public, it's okay, wants to speak, they can come up at the public portion of the meeting. It's blinding. Thank you. Hey, listen, I'm pretty impressed that you could reach that.
I'm not as numbers I used to be.
I have a question. There was talk of possibly cutting a road into the property for public access. Is that still a thought?
Off Galloping Hill Road?
Yes.
I'm not aware if that is or isn't. There's nothing within the redevelopment plan that would prevent that necessarily, if they wanted to add a second access point. But nobody has provided that type of information as a part of our process.
We had a tour there and the gentleman was thinking of some plans. I might like to make it more incorporated as part of the borough, because now it's like a forbidden city, like nobody even.
I don't think that's the plan, that's their plan to keep it that way.
Yeah.
It's going to be part of the community. People can go in there, there's gonna be no fortress or security gate or anything like that.
Yes.
Or at least that's not in their plan that I'm aware of.
When the site plans start going to the board, we'll start seeing what that will look like. But when we did our work through, they want a restaurant there for the public, they want a hotel, so you can make it more comforting. I think that 8 building that looked like an 8, they wanted to take that down.
Yeah.
Because it was an eyesore in the middle. But they got plans.
Last time we met, I mentioned, is there a way they're going to remedy the situation where currently the town wouldn't be able to handle rescue, fire and rescue?
Yes, I'll speak to that. So, redevelopment plan would not have that as a requirement as part of a redevelopment plan. In order to be able to move forward, the redevelopment plan requires that a redeveloper be designated and then a redevelopment agreement be put in place. As a part of a redevelopment agreement, it would be, that's when the borough could negotiate for that specific issue, which is how to deal with fire rescue, whether or not there's an existing building that used to be fire there. So all of those types of specifics regarding whether or not the borough has the equipment and whether or not will be part of a redevelopment agreement with the designated developer. And I have Brian Nelson here. If I misspeak, I'm sure he will stand up and let me know.
So we'll have an opportunity to negotiate that.
Pilot or
Okay.
whatever.
That was an excellent presentation. Thank you for doing that. And
Thank you.
it's just nice having it, a PowerPoint like this so that people at home can see that. Also, just so everyone knows, we do plan to put this redevelopment plan on our borough website. And this YouTube video will also be available, and it will be available on our borough website. So the public can see what's going on, they can see the plan at any time. Thank you.
Ordinance 2025-15, introduced on September 4th, 2024. Ordinance adopting the 2000 Galloping Hill Road redevelopment plan consisting of Block 181, Lot 1.
Okay, is there a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2024-15?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Scarice, seconded by Councilman Morrow. All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone have anything to say on this ordinance and this ordinance only? Please come forward and state your name and address. Okay, seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 2024-15?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Finestrella. Roll call?
Councilman Boyle?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Morrow?
Yes.
Councilman Scarice?
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-15 has been adopted.
Okay, next for council consideration is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Scarice. No, no.
The consent agenda consists of resolutions 2024-198 through 2024-209. These resolutions will be approved by one motion. All items will be recorded individually in full in the minutes. Councilman Boyle?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Morrow?
Yes.
Councilman Scarice?
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman?
Yes.
We have 4 ordinances. Oh, sorry, one was pulled,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. Right. 3 ordinances for introduction tonight. Ordinance 2024-17, ordinance adopting amendments to Chapter 142, Peace and Good Order, to include Article 4, camping.
Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2024-17 for introduction?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Scarice, seconded by Councilman Morrow. Roll call?
Councilman Boyle?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Moore?
Yes.
Councilman Scarice?
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman?
Yes.
Be it hereby resolved that ordinance 2024-17, heretofore introduced, does now pass on first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on October 16th, 2024 at 6:00 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the Borough Council, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance according to law. Ordinance 2024-18, ordinance adopting amendments to Chapter 150, Property Maintenance of the Municipal Code of the Borough of Kenilworth to establish Article 6, Privately Owned Salt Storage of Chapter 150 of the Municipal Code of the Borough of Kenilworth.
Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2024 for introduction?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Boyle. On that one, right? Roll call?
Councilman Boyle?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Morrow?
Yes.
Councilman Scarice?
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman?
Yes.
Be it hereby resolved that ordinance 2024-18, heretofore introduced, does now pass on first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on October 16, 2024 at 6:00 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the Borough Council, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance according to law. Ordinance 2024-19, ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 37, Personnel Policies, Part 2, Policies and Procedures of the Code of the Borough of Kenilworth.
Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2024-19 for introduction?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Finestrella. Roll call?
Councilman Boyle?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Morrow?
Yes.
Councilman Scarice?
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman?
Yes.
Be it hereby resolved that ordinance 2024-19, heretofore introduced, does now pass on first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on October 16, 2024 at 6:00 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the Borough Council, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning
Okay, is there a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Morrow. All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone have anything to say for the good and well-being of Kenilworth? Please come forward and state your name and address. Hi, Steve. Yes, you can.
Stephen Dunn, 32 Oak Court. A couple of things. I want to first say thank you to the mayor and police chief for putting the easy grab delineator posts and crosswalks around town. I think it's a big improvement for pedestrian safety. Although
Thank you.
It seems a challenge so far to keep you from moving them, but I think it's a big improvement, so thank you for that. Also want to say thank you for the new pass that we put in on Tool Court connecting to Commonwealth and the Boulevard. It's already kind of been a big improvement to the neighborhood. A whole bunch of kids are coming by and scootering, and it's really nice to see. And just share for a personal story, my grandmother lived on Tool Court for 70 years, and over 70 years. And for the last couple of years of her life, we used to walk her around in a wheelchair, and we couldn't go down those paths. So it means a lot to me personally that they're finally done.
That's great.
And speaking of that, we talked about pedestrian and bicycle safety. Those are the people that affects the most, kids and the elderly. To share another story, you might know the Holzingers who are here in town. Their grandfather Ron passed away this past year. And I used to talk to him at baseball games, and he used to tell me he would park and he'd cross the boulevard to go to Dunkin' Donuts, and he was taking his life in his hands every time he did. I think if you travel on the boulevard, you know it's pretty dangerous. I've almost been hit several times. There's lots of crashes, and I think we have a real opportunity to improve the boulevard, enhance quality of life here in Kenilworth. And the way we can do that is something called a road diet. I can give you a whole presentation on it, but I'll keep it really short. And I talked to a lot of people about this, so I'm trying to keep all my notes quick and short. So the Federal Highway Administration in 2022 says the data is the average daily traffic is about 9,870 vehicles that pass by, and it's projected by 2042 to go up to 11,966. There's a lot of information out about road diets and what they do. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead here. Road diet, what it would do is take 4 lanes of traffic, 2 going one way and 2 going the other way, and reduce it to 3. So you would have 1 in one direction and 1 in the other, and a turn lane in the middle. And rather, I guess, than go through all the benefits verbally, I can just send this so you can see it. And if you think about the boulevard already, if you go from Michigan Ave to 21st Street, it's already 1 lane, and then when you get down past Springfield Ave, it's already 1 lane. And what happens is it kind of encourages bad driving habits, speeding, rear end crashes. So just a couple of quick statistics for you. A 4-lane to 3-lane road diet has a 19 to 47% reduction in total crashes. And the Federal Highway Administration says that if you have less than 10,000 average daily vehicles traveled per day, it's really a great candidate for road diets in most instances, and capacity will most likely not be affected. If you have 10 to 15,000 average daily traffic per day, and that's the range that we might be in 20 years, still under, it's still a good candidate for road diets in many instances, and agencies could conduct intersection analysis and consider signal retiming in conjunction with implementation. And there was a couple more things I just wanted to share, because I know these come up. How will it affect businesses? A road diet can improve economic vitality by changing the corridor from a place people drive through to one that they drive to. And I think that's really the big thing for Kenilworth. We can kind of change this downtown district by making it a more desirable place. It's already a pretty desirable place, but if you ever sit on the boulevard with cars going by, it's not that pleasant. And this would calm traffic, maintain the flow while reducing vehicle speeds and thus increasing safety. And so I'll just finish this though. Replacing vehicle trains, so it won't reduce parking. With these improved facilities, motorists are more likely to park, walk around, shop, enjoy the setting. For example, how road diets have positively affected surrounding businesses. Check out the flyer. And again, I can kind of send you all stuff to see how great it is. And just to share, I guess, my personal experience with this, there was a road diet done on State Route 439 in Elizabeth, which reduced 2 lanes each way to 1 each way with a turn signal, with a turn lane.
What road is that?
State Route 439, it's by Keene, it goes Elmore Ave and North Ave, and it goes by Keene, and that's where they did it. There's a couple more examples around the state, and a lot of studies kind of done on it. So, but this is my personal experience from the driver of one of the biggest emergency vehicles in the state. It's much easier to get through there when they change it. And so it's actually a lot of studies that show it enhances emergency response
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I just wanted to kind of introduce this officially. I know I've talked to a bunch of people about it, and if you don't know, I am the alternate representative for the County Transportation Advisory Board for Kenworth. So I talked to the county engineer, I talked to the county planner, I talked to our engineer, our planner, I mentioned it to the mayor, and talked to the chief about it. So I think it's a discussion, and I guess why this is important now. The boulevard is being torn up, and we have confirmation from the county that it is supposed to be repaved from curb to curb. So, you know, if this is something the community wants to do, which I do, and I think is a lot of good arguments to do it, now's the time. And it can be done very cheap. It's pretty much going to be paid for by the utility because they have to. And I think the biggest thing is really going to enhance the overall quality of life here in town. I mean, if you walk your kids along the boulevard, you know you're worried all the time. And this is a way to really make it safer. And when we're doing it, there's going to be economic benefits that come with it. Yeah, so that sounded a lot better in my head when I was planning it. But again, I can do a much more detailed presentation on it if you would like. And I will definitely, I think, email all this information I found. I think the data that is available publicly, like I said, the counts of vehicles, it supports it. And you think about why the boulevard is the way it is, we can get into the historical aspect of it. The Nietzsche house has I forget the guy's name, but basically he came from Germany and liked the wide right of way to support people in the roads. And over the years, we kind of just built more lanes because it was that wide. But it doesn't really, there's no data to support that the boulevard needs 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. Yeah, so I just wanted to introduce that to the council. You know, this would have to come from the governing body if it's something they want to do.
So the governing body would request the county to do a road diet? Is that how it works?
I think that's what.
It's an involved process.
Yeah, well, so the process I've seen so far, and I think you were part of it, is that there's the county and borough, it seems to be a reflection of who takes the lead. So the county says it has to come from the town that they want it. So that's the discussion that needs to be had, and we probably have a year or two to decide on that. Because I don't know when this work's going to be done, but it's not going to. They're going to have to repay it. So I think there's plenty. Again, I've done a lot of research on it. I'm happy to talk to you.
Can you send that research that you have out to the governing body,
Yeah.
to myself, please, so we can see what you're seeing and look at the statistics and things like that, so we can have conversation about if it's something we want to address with the county. And obviously our traffic department, our chief of police would be involved in all those conversations as well, so that would be great. Actually, you know what, if you could send it to the clerk, that would be easier. Right, thank you. She'll distribute it, thank you.
Yeah, it's good. It's very interesting. It's not just making it up.
I'd like to read it, I really am interested in reading it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the sidewalk and the linear books.
That's great.
It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Just want to, real quick, Leo, does he need to come up? I know we had a language barrier last time. I asked Detective
Let's see if he's
Philippe to
coming up.
come up
Yeah.
on behalf of this gentleman.
Yeah, so Detective Philippe here.
Okay, good. He wants to come up and speak.
Yeah, I know last time he kind of missed everything because of the
Yep.
language barrier, so I didn't want him to be overlooked.
I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Guillen Davila. He wrote a letter here to the Borough and Council, and I'm going to read it to you guys in English. Long story short, he's from Venezuela, and he's looking to gain some sort of employment in the borough, only a couple hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if it's possible. He's trying to obtain his chaplain license, and he's looking for some sort of employment within the borough, so I'm going to read the letter that we have here, written by Mr. Davila. Dear Mrs. Angela Zari, I am writing to you to present myself, Guillen Davila Jose, 80-year-old Venezuelan. I have the honor to inform you that I left Venezuela in October 2021 with my passport visa granted for 10 years by virtue of a very critical situation. From my country, I moved to New Jersey, United States, North America. I came to visit my daughter, Ana Maria Guillen de Martinez. My daughter, Ana Maria, has been living here in the U.S. for 20 years and is a religious woman. She is a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I have been residing with my daughter for 2 years. My daughter's husband, Guido, passed away 2 years ago. With 2 minor children, My daughter is now required to work to support her children, and I, her father. By virtue, it is my wish, Mrs. Angela Lazari, to inform you that Guy and Davia have a diploma and credentials as a chaplain. Therefore, my desire is to render you my services and to make myself useful. For example, police work, fireman work, or as a crossing guard for school pedestrian service. That would include children, adults, and seniors within this area, Kenilworth, New Jersey, near my residence. I sincerely hope and wait your help and support so that you can sponsor me so that I may help my daughter financially. May God bless you and keep you today, tomorrow, and always. Amen. Sincerely, Guy Davila. He does not have any citizenship in the country. All he has is a passport. That's all he has. He's looking for some sort of employment within the borough.
Thank you.
Thank you. So he doesn't have a green card?
I'm sorry?
He doesn't have a green card?
Okay.
Is he legally permitted to work?
¿Tú puedes trabajar legalmente en este país o no?
What?
No.
No, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very,
Okay.
thank you, of course, of course. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is John Zimmerman. I live at 26 North 7th Street.
Hi, John.
And my question is, the September 11th Planning Board meeting. Now, there was discussion on rerouting traffic through the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through, and a question came up last time by other citizens of Kenilworth as to what the plan was going to be. I was hoping there would be somebody here tonight from the planning board who could tell us what the situation is. Is there
Councilman Morrow,
anything?
are you able to?
Yeah, so that did pass, specifically for the drive-through, and Mr. Scuderi, if I'm getting this wrong, let me know. We're going in from the boulevard, it's gonna loop around into 2 lanes, and then come back out to the boulevard. So, it's gonna have to keep the traffic sort of, actually, I don't know how you get in this way, and then you turn around, and then you're gonna come back out.
Maybe you drive around the building?
You'll only go towards the parkway when you come out of it. That's the drive-through. It's gonna shrink the building though, so you can fit the 2 lanes around it, and then there'll be no seating inside.
Okay, oh, it's gonna shrink that.
I think there's queue for 16 cars on the property, am I right? Is it 12 cars? 12 cars in queue. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so what about the building on the boulevard to the left of Dunkin' Donuts? Is that gonna be made smaller to make it so that cars can
That building,
turn
I
around
believe, is
and
going to
U-turn
be
there?
removed,
That's gonna
right?
be an apartment building.
7 units.
There's gonna be 7 one-bedroom units built there
I
with
think
parking
6
underneath.
one-bedroom
Oh,
and
it's
a
6?
And one's
One
affordable housing.
Okay.
7 units
6
in total.
7 units.
7 units total, 6 one-bedroom and 1 affordable unit.
Okay, so the Asian restaurant will be gone? And
Yes,
all-
that whole
all those
building will be
buildings
gone.
right up to where?
That whole area is gonna
Furniture stores.
knock down.
Oh, the
No,
furniture
I don't think
store?
it goes that far.
No, it doesn't go that
It's
far.
just that the strip
It's gonna
mall.
butt up to the, it's gonna butt up to the south.
Yeah, the furniture store is a different property, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's that strip mall.
The little strip mall.
Oh, okay.
Does
so-
anyone know when the next planning board, when, I'm sorry, you would know the
The
next.
third Thursday of every month, that was a special one moved the day back.
Right.
But,
So it's a,
So that's been approved and passed by
correct.
council and...
well, the council of the planning board can't, that's
Oh,
not
oh, that's
our
their
lane.
responsibility?
So if you want, you can, if you have questions regarding the application, obviously, Mr. Councilman Morrow is here and can help answer them. But you can also attend the planning board meeting as well and get more details.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gail Snyder, 27 South Michigan.
Hello.
Speaking of the planning board approving the apartment building, it's not the proper thing, but everybody should know about it. Being that there was a variance done to change it from commercial to a residential building completely, not having stores underneath or anything like that, is that something that is going to apply to, say, the next building or the next people that want to develop on, next door to that, or down the boulevard.
Well, each application is individual.
Yes, but
Every,
they'd have to change the variance then, right? Because
You know-
they did change it for this one. What are you gonna tell the next guy? Oh, well, you can't do that. You know, so next we're gonna have just a block of apartment buildings, you know,
I don't
a
necessarily know
corridor,
that that's
just
true. However, again, also these conversations should be going to the planning board.
Well, I think it's a legitimate concern.
But
and
if
I
you
think the way our
wanted to-
planning board is structured, it's actually a combination of a planning board and a board of adjustment. And that gives it the, I guess, ability to grant these variances for use and then start talking about the site plan about what goes up. So that's our borough. And it wasn't always like that. I don't know how long ago there was the combination of
Yeah,
board
I'm
of
not
adjustment and
sure.
planning board. So
Combined.
that's the current structure. There is a way to separate the powers, if you will, of use variances and the planning board. So it doesn't have to be that way, I guess, Mayor. It is somewhat the council's issue as well.
Mhm.
well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a
all the
conversation that can
towns,
happen.
You know, shouldn't the town know about it? I mean, as far as, all the council members and the public, besides just having to look at a planning board meeting video after it's taken, or.
It was
sitting
advertised,
there.
it was advertised.
Yeah,
Oh.
like this much.
Well, that's how,
The only people that knew about it were the
Stuff goes
people
on
who
the
got
website,
notices.
the way
Yeah,
you
I'm just
advertise.
looking at the next meeting, actually, I'm just trying to get it
getting the
on my
date.
phone.
You should go to the
It's,
next planning board meeting.
I do go to them, and
It's
it
October
doesn't
10th.
seem to make any difference. You can bring it up as much as you want. The people that did get notice about this development were the 200 feet from the building, which is only Kingston. I live on South Michigan, which is catty corner from there, and I didn't know anything about it until I ran into somebody and they mentioned it. And also that it was two buildings, two complete separate buildings, although they're different lots, but you had a Dunkin' Donuts and you had a commercial building being built. You know, they should have been separated. You know, one was dependent upon the other one, which are completely different. And my other question was about, is there a pilot tax situation on that?
No,
There isn't on that
no.
one, because there's only one.
It's only 7 units. It's only 7 units. It's not a big apartment building. It's not a redevelopment project.
All
It's a
right, but
private-
it is tall and towering over
Well,
these people's
honestly,
backyards.
right now, someone could build a 3-story office building there, and there's nothing the planning board can do about it because it's written in our plan, in our code, that they're allowed. So that could happen, just so you know.
Yeah.
The height could,
Office building.
anyone could build that there. I mean, they came because there was a change of use, but that would have been allowed, which would have also created a visual, a height, traffic, those people would need to park somewhere, all those issues which still exist.
Okay,
So
but
that's-
if you're gonna have an office building, it's a lot different than a residential building, you know, as far as use goes and everything.
I don't know, I think more people might be in a 3-story office building than
Yeah, but you have to have a lot more parking, you have to have
3
parking.
stories, 3. It's allowed there.
50 feet,
In that area.
one story, 10.
But again,
I just thought that it would be noteworthy that this board
Right.
can't direct those boards what to do, that joint board is autonomous.
Autonomous.
And they cannot control or influence their decisions. I'm under the impression that you're unhappy with that, you're trying to speak to this board about what they did, but they can't influence that decision. I just want you to be aware of that.
Yes, I understand that. I just, too, I'm mentioning it more so that the public, you know, if they do watch the videos of this council meeting, that they are aware of what did happen. That they didn't have to go to the planning board meeting because they didn't know anything about it to begin with.
Can I,
You know,
It's just,
Yeah, go ahead, you finish.
just so far as notice to the public is concerned, that's regulated by statute. And a governing body like this, some towns have tried to do it, it was ruled illegal. You can't require enhanced notice to the public. So the way that the MLUL is written is that a mailed notice goes out to people within 200 feet, which is what you had aptly noted. But then it also has to be published in the newspaper. So if people are concerned about land use applications, they should keep their eye out in the newspaper, because the publication for what's going to take place at this board has to be published in the newspaper at least 10 days in advance.
And I'll
They have
just-
to know ahead of time, keep your eye out
Well,
for
that's,
something
can
like
I
that.
just add to
Nobody
it,
ever
is
knows
that
about
those meetings are all posted on the website, on the calendar portion, so you can see where they are. We put them in, once the year's scout calendar schedule comes out, they are all on there. The next one is October 10th.
Right.
And as Mark said, we do also post the agendas, get posted on the website. Now, by the time it gets there, that's, requirement is 48 hours ahead. It is also, but you can always call, and if they have an agenda ahead of time, you can ask what's coming up. If they know, if it's prepared ahead, they'll share it with you.
You can also sign up to get
I
the
get
agenda,
signed
correct?
up.
Yeah.
I get a text message
Yeah.
as to when they come and everything.
And those meetings that are recorded are also, the link to all the recorded meetings is on the website, and that includes the governing body as well as the planning board.
Right.
That's to the YouTube, so we do
And-
try to put stuff on there, as Mark
Mhm.
said, it's, the requirement is the requirement, and we follow that. It may not be as early as you want, but
Yeah. It's just, the public doesn't know a lot of the information, of what's going on in their own town. And I feel that, it's kind of unfair that all these changes are happening to our community, and, you find out after the fact that it's all been said
Well, it's a
and
good
done.
idea to come to the meetings. I wish more people from the public would come and go on and look at the agendas and go on the website, because we put that information there for you. So check and get involved, and that's great,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
actually, you made a good point, and if you sign up for notifications, when the agenda gets posted, you'll
Mhm.
get an email
Yes.
notice or a
Yep.
text notice saying an agenda's been posted.
Yep.
And you can just get it from your phone or email.
We want the public to access this information, and that's, Angela works really hard to get it all in there for everyone.
Are we allowed to repost that, say, on social media? Just saying, hey, there's
Yeah,
a meeting.
why not, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's public notice, it's public. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, council people.
Good evening.
It's been a while since I've been up here. Still a little nervous every time I come up.
Don't be nervous.
I know. It's just one little thing I've been, wanting to find out about. It's, we have, I don't know, I guess it's like a couple of tennis courts on the school property, which I imagine is school property, adjacent to the ball field. It's always locked up. Is there any possibility of the residents being able to utilize it?
You have to go to the Board of Education.
You have to reach out.
The rec.
Oh, the rec?
The rec has the key for after hours.
Oh,
For after hours?
there you go.
Oh, so
I just learned something.
Yeah. I mean,
So you can reach out, anyone that wants to use the tennis courts after hours can reach out to the Recreation Department, and they have a key.
Okay, well, problem solved.
There we go.
I can practice my backhand, whatever.
Maybe we'll play tennis together.
Can you just state your name for the record?
Oh, I apologize. Robert Pott, North 17th Street.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Pop, I think the reason that it's locked is I know that people were skateboarding and it was ruining the surface, so that's why they kind of keep it like wrapped up like that, just for specific.
I noticed there's a lot of other locations, including county parks, that they do have, tennis courts available. I've gone down to Roosevelt Park in Edison, and, I'm not a tennis pro or anything, but just to get a little exercise, and I think it would be good, for, the residents that may want to get together, and especially even nowadays, they do pickleball, it's a big thing amongst older people. So I just figured if it was available, take advantage
Sure.
of it. Last time I really played tennis was my son when he was about 8 years old, and I was running around more than he was.
Maybe you'll play again now.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot for the info.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one, is there a motion to close the floor for public discussion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Boyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything to say for the good and welfare of the borough?
I have a couple things, Mayor.
Sure.
So on tonight's consent agenda, we did pass a resolution to permanently put 2 fine officers on our police department. One of them's actually in the back. So I just wanted to shout him out there, Phil Young. I hear wonderful things about the job you're doing. The chief tells us, all your colleagues tell us. So thank you for everything you're doing, and the rest of the department as well. I also, last time President Trump had an assassination attempt on his life, I said something, and unfortunately, about a month and a half later, I'm here again with the same message. This political violence needs to stop. God bless Donald Trump, and I hope to never have to say something like this again. Post an assassination attempt on a former president and campaigner right now. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Very well said.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I would just like to ask that we have a brief closed session.
Yeah, I'm getting to that.
Yeah,
We'll
okay.
come on that.
Thanks.
Okay. At this time, there is need to go into executive session to discuss the following matters pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12, and the executive session is for, I'm going to have the borough.
Attorney-client privilege contract negotiations.
Okay. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion. Second.
Motion made by Councilman Morrow, seconded by Councilman Finestrello. All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to make a note that no formal action will be taken after we exit executive session.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.